YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to RANT, dropping a fresh VID for you today, and I'm back after a very long layoff. Let me explain to you guys why, because it's important. I could come every week after watching Raw and SmackDown and say, WWE sucks right now, and that itself is a true statement. It really is in the crapper. But you guys deserve more than that. And frankly, I want to be able to have more to say. So that's why there's been such a long time between my last video and this one. But I finally watched something that gives me something to talk about. That's right, I watched the State of the WWE Universe address that they put on the network after Raw. And I just have to say that, wow, they're outright lying to us, ladies and gentlemen. But that's not uncommon. I mean, after all, wrestling is the sport of thespians, isn't it? So instead of going through all the erroneous lies that were covered in this show, I thought we'd address the 600-pound elephant in the room. And that is, how would the wrestling ranter go about fixing this incredibly mismanaged product? Because unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, after watching it for the month that has happened since my last posting to YouTube, I have come to the firm belief that while Vince McMahon may, in his own warped little mind, believe that he's still doing right by the competition, the truth is, I believe that this gentleman knows he's approaching the end of his career and has decided, I'm not going to let somebody else kill my company, I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to be at the helm from the beginning of the WWF to the end. And that's just sad. But it can be fixed. And here's how. Have you noticed that most of the part-time performers, the Rocks, the Brock Lesnars, the Goldbergs, even the soon-to-be returning as of this weekend, Mickie James, I'm willing to bet she, like all the rest of the names I just mentioned, will get a huge ovation from the WWE Universe. Now, what should that be telling the high-ups in the suits? That should be telling you that your fans, be they hardcore like myself or casual, are begging for a return to the way things used to be done. Now, let me clarify what that means. That does not mean that I want to see my women's division in nothing but bra and panties and pillow fights and fantasy matches and wearing as little as possible. No. You worked hard to build the women's division up into something more than just the universal piss break. And you should be commended for that. Bravo. Well done. I like it. See? But what I want to see us get rid of is the bulleted promos, the controlled promos, the written promos that Vince McMahon is overseeing. Every I is dotted, every T is crossed, every period is there, and not a bad word is spoken amongst the superstars. And I know why they do it. They do it because their audience is getting younger. But let me state something very plainly. Professional wrestling as a whole, yeah, I called it professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, because sports entertainment in my mind is bullshit. Professional wrestling as a whole is a product that is not meant to be watched by young children without parental supervision to point out to them that this may be okay to do or say, this is not okay, and what this person is doing to another person will get you in trouble in any other environment. Okay? It needs to be understood, and young children need to be supervised. That having been said, if they return to telling the superstars, hey, here's what I want you to accomplish. I want you to get this guy over, or I want you to bury this guy. I want you to get heat on yourself. Do whatever you have to. Say whatever you have to. Fight however you have to ensure that you are properly perceived as a bad guy, and this other person is properly perceived as a fiery babyface that's going to stand up to you. and then they are allowed to go out and do it their own way. This accomplishes two things. It creates compelling television because that's what we had in the Attitude Era, and it also shows you who is strong promo wise, who is weak promo wise, and needs to go back and refine their game in that regard. Also, I watched Hell in a Cell recently, the most recent Hell in a Cell. Anyone remember my last Hell in a Cell review? How I gushed because that pay-per-view was done in a way that took me back to the Attitude Era? This wasn't, okay? For those of you who don't know the legacy of Hell in a Cell, it is a feud ender, or it is supposed to be. When two wrestlers step in Hell in a Cell and they fight back in the old days, starting at Bad Blood in 97 and continuing in King of the Ring in 98, those guys aren't supposed to fight again after being in Hell in a Cell. You know what happened after every single one of those Hell in a Cell match in the most recent ones? Everyone who competed in them came out like, oh, what? I competed in Hell in a Cell? No, I just actually walked through a field of daisies. I don't have to sell like I'd been in a fight. I don't have to sell like I'm hurting. No, not like they did back in the old days, because selling is dead. That's another thing that needs to come back. You need to teach these guys how to sell properly when they're hurt. I'm not saying I have to see bandages and blood and scrapes and stuff, but at least, let me put it this way. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins went through multiple tables in their matches as an example. We should see tape on the ribs. They should maybe act like they're having a hard time breathing. Maybe even make it to where they can't fully stand up straight. That's what I want to see. What Vince McMahon has forgotten in the PG era is the business of professional wrestling is based around simulating a fight. We as fans know it's scripted. We as fans know that two guys are going into the ring and not deliberately trying to hurt one another, but we are supposed to be able to suspend our disbelief to the point where we can at least believe this guy doesn't like this guy and they're going to fight about it. Much like they do in other professional sports that are actually fighting and combat based. But you've lost that plot, haven't you, Vince McMahon? You've lost it. You've also put yourself in kind of a paradoxical point because, a lot of people believe character wrestling is dead. And I'm inclined to agree. You will more than likely never see a character like The Undertaker, which was built from the ground up, in our lifetime again. And that's sad. But you have compensated for it by giving us multiple wrestlers, such as Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, that are just fabulous workers in the ring that can do things that make us go, wow, that was impressive. And you don't let them be themselves all the way. You have with AJ, but others like Shinsuke and Samoa Joe, you have to continually refine their style because it's considered too violent because you're catering to that young audience again. I implore you, Vince, shake your current way of thinking. If you go back to what I've discussed and let these guys be themselves, you'll be putting out better TV. You'll be able to better manage your talent because those that were perhaps weak in promos can be sent back down to NXT to refine their skills, can be sent to the Performance Center and be given promo classes and acting classes and can be made stronger. It does work. Another thing you've done. I was excited when the Cruiserweight division came back. And you've killed it. You've killed it because you've essentially made it about two people, TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick. Now, these guys aren't bad wrestlers, but you have a slew of other talent like Rich Swann, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado. By the way, if you don't know who these people are, you can probably look up the Cruiserweight Classic and find out real quick what these guys can actually do, because that was presented to us in an NXT style like environment. So we were able to see them at their best. And then, much like all the rest of the NXT talent that has come up to Raw and SmackDown successively, they have been buried because they now have to get used to a completely different style than what Triple H is running with the NXT brand. And this is sad because the intention of NXT is to prepare you to take the next step to the main roster. Some wrestlers like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and all the big names you've heard that have gone there and actually made a name for themselves have adapted their characters thusly. But some just aren't given a chance. I was so excited for Bayley because when I started watching her on NXT, I'm like, okay, this girl is good, but she lacks the confidence. And then she eventually got it. And she eventually got that edginess to her where, okay, I'm still a nice person, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And what did they do? They brought her to Raw. I'm excited. And they're making her start all over again. She's going back to being Shy Bayley, who has to earn her spots. And, oh, I'm just really happy to be here. And everything is sunshine and gumdrops and happiness. It doesn't work. You've killed Bayley. You make me sad every time I see Bayley on Raw or on a pay-per-view that's not NXT because I know she's capable of so much more. Listen, don't we as wrestling fans deserve more? Especially out of the top promotion in the world right now? I think we do. And the only way WWE is going to listen to us is if people like me, who are perhaps better connected than I am even, take to your social media outlets or take to WWE outlets, discussion forums that I know they troll because they have to, because we're the ones that are still giving them money, because when we buy tickets, we say we support your show. They need to know that we are disgruntled, and they need to know what we want to change. So my subscriber base, take this video, spread it all around WWE in any way you can. Spread it on your social media sites, and I'll take that as I agree with this person. Click the thumbs up if you agree with this person. Click the thumbs down if you disagree with this person. Tell me I'm full of shit. I don't care. Let your opinion be known. Ranter's gonna get off the soapbox. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Oh, before I forget, post in the comments down below what you'd like to see changed. Tell me what you think about what I have said. Greatly appreciated. Ranter off the soapbox. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.